You tried. You explained calmly. You drew them a picture. You used dates, facts, screenshots. You begged, you cried, and finally, you screamed. You tried every way a rational person tries to make another rational person understand the pain they are causing. You just wanted a glimpse of recognition. And you're right, I was wrong, and I understand you, and all you got was nothing, or worse than nothing. You got confusion. You got called crazy, too sensitive, controlling. You got to see the conversation, magically, be turned against you, and suddenly you were apologizing for something. You did in 2017. You walked away from that conversation more exhausted, more confused, and more hurt than when you entered it. You went to the shower and replayed the fight in your head, thinking of smarter things you should have said, and the proof you forgot to use. You still believe that there's a magical combination of words, proof so irrefutable that if you can just find it, you will finally corner them. You will, in front of everyone, pull off the mask and say, "Aha, I knew it." What if I told you that this fantasy of verbal confrontation is the biggest trap that keeps you stuck? What if I told you that the true, the only, the devastating unmasking of the narcissist happens without you saying a single word? What we're going to analyze today is not how to win an argument with a narcissist. That is impossible. What we will decode is why your strategic silence is the only thing that forces the mask to fall, not because you pulled it off, but because they can no longer sustain it themselves. My name is Lauren Mitchell. My purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you, and more importantly, that you are not alone. If this video resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and leave your like on the video. I count on your support. Let's revisit this scene. The scene of the confrontation. It's almost a ritual of abuse. It starts with you, who spent days, perhaps weeks, gathering courage. You found an obvious lie, a blatant contradiction, a broken promise that was the last straw. You prepared yourself. You took a deep breath. You said, "We need to talk." The moment you present your point, with all the logic and evidence you could gather, something strange happens. Their eyes go empty, or maybe they sigh like a martyr, as if you were the biggest burden in their life. You say, "You told me on Tuesday you were going to do X, and now I find out you did Y." A normal person would say, "Oh, you're right, I forgot." Or, "There was a change of plans." The narcissistic person does not. They start a spectacle of disorientation. First comes the direct denial. "I never said that. You're imagining things." You, prepared, show the text message. "It's right here. You wrote it." Then, we enter the second phase. Reinterpretation. "Oh, but I didn't mean it that way. You're misinterpreting me, as always. You only hear what you want to hear." You try to argue that the words are clear. Then, they move to the third phase, the personal attack, deflection. It's amazing how much you like to hold a grudge, isn't it? Always looking for a fight. You're just like your mother. Suddenly the conversation is no longer about their lie on Tuesday. The conversation is about your flawed character, your bad memory, your tendency to be dramatic. If you persist, if you don't let up, they pull the final card, victimization. "I do everything for you. I work all day. I come home tired, and this is how you greet me? With accusations? You know, sometimes I feel like nothing I do is good enough for you." And there it is. In under 5 minutes, you went from being a victim of a lie to the ungrateful aggressor of a poor martyr. You feel dizzy. The air gets heavy. You feel your brain trying to find the thread of the argument, but they've thrown so many knots that it's impossible. This is the word salad. It's an exhaustion technique. It's designed to make your brain crash, like a computer that received too many commands. You walk away from the conversation feeling dirty. You feel crazy. You start to doubt, am I being dramatic? Did I misinterpret it? This is exactly why you constantly feel anxious. This is why you mentally record conversations. This is why you save screenshots. You have become a detective in your own life because they turned you into the only suspect in your own case. Your need to unmask with words is your desperate attempt to find solid ground in the quicksand they created. You want them to admit it, because if they admit it, it means you're not crazy. But they will never admit it, and the cycle will repeat again and again until you give up, exhausted, and accept. The blame. Now, we need to understand why this scenario happens. Why are your words, your logic, and your proof completely useless? You are operating under the belief that the two of you are playing the same game. the game of communication. You believe that language serves to exchange information, express feelings, and reach a mutual understanding. The narcissistic person does not. For them, language is not a tool for connection. It is a tool for control. For them, a conversation is not an exchange. It's a battle arena. The goal is not the truth. The goal is victory. And victory means maintaining control of the narrative, maintaining the status of superiority, and most importantly, extracting supply. When you confront them with proof, you think you're presenting a fact. They see it as a direct attack on their fabricated self-image, their mask of perfection. Reality for them is an inconvenience that needs to be distorted. Your words, your pain, your tears, your justifications, all of this is ammunition for them. Words as plausible deniability. The narcissist is a master of ambiguity. They love verbal language because it is fluid. I didn't mean that. It was a joke. You misunderstood. They live in gray areas. They will never give you a clear confession because that would be giving up power. They prefer to keep you in the swamp of doubt. Words as distraction. Word salad. The word salad we analyzed is not a communication flaw. It is a tactic of psychological warfare. The goal is to overwhelm your cognitive circuits. It is to lead you down so many logical dead ends that you tire of fighting and give up. Your exhaustion is their victory. Words as supply, reaction. This is the most crucial point. When you confront them, you are reacting. You are engaged. Your anger, your frustration, your tears. This is a high-quality narcissistic supply. It shows them how much they affect you. It shows them that they have power over your emotions. By trying to unmask them with words, you are, ironically, inflating their ego. You are saying, you are so important that I spent hours of my life preparing a dossier against you. You are on their stage, dancing to the music they chose. That's why trying to unmask a narcissist verbally is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. You are fueling exactly what you want to stop. You will never beat them at this game. The only way to win is to refuse to play. And that's where silence comes in. What is it then to unmask without saying a word? It is important to understand. This is not the silent treatment. The silent treatment used by the narcissist is an aggressive tactic of punishment. It is a loud silence, designed to make you feel guilty and chase after them. The silence we are talking about is something else. It is strategic disengagement. It is your withdrawal from the stage. It is you stopping being the audience, the supporting actor, and the scriptwriter of their show. This manifests in two main forms: gray rock, if you are forced to coexist, or no contact, the definitive solution. The narcissist is, in essence, an actor who desperately needs a mirror. They do not have a stable sense of identity. They build themselves through your reactions. When you loved them, idealization, you were the mirror that said, you are perfect, brilliant, a god. When they attack you, devaluation. They need you to be the mirror that says, you are powerful, you affect me, you destroy me. Even your negative reaction is supply. They prefer to be feared or hated than to be ignored. Ignorance, indifference, is the only poison for which they have no antidote. Not saying a word is becoming an empty mirror. Imagine the scene. They arrive, expecting a fight. They provoke you. They say something cruel, something designed to hit your deepest insecurity. They expect tears. They expect screaming. They expect justification. And you give nothing. You don't actively ignore them, as in the punitive silent treatment. You simply don't react. You look at them as if they were an uninteresting object. And okay, and understood. And you go back to what you were doing. Your emotion is neutral. Your body language is relaxed. You are no longer in the game. What happens to them in that moment? Panic. It is the psychological equivalent of an actor walking onto a stage for a dramatic monologue. And in the middle of the scene, they realize the theater is empty. There is no audience. There are no lights. There is no sound. They need your feedback to know who they are. When you withdraw the feedback, you force them to face the one thing they spend their whole life running from, their own emptiness. The empty mirror is you stopping reacting to provocations. It is you stopping justifying yourself. It is you stopping arguing about the past. It is you stopping trying to prove your reality to them. You accept that they are what they are. You accept that they will never change. And you, silently, withdraw your energy from the equation. This is the beginning of the true unmasking. Because the mask they wear is held in place with the glue of your emotional engagement. And that glue has just dried up. This is where the show really begins. And this is where you finally see the truth. The narcissist's mask. The charm, the calm, the superiority, the nice guy, the misunderstood victim, only works while they are in control and receiving supply. When you become the empty mirror, when you stop providing the reaction, positive or negative, to which they are addicted, they go into supply withdrawal. And a person in withdrawal does erratic, desperate, and ugly things. The mask doesn't fall because you pulled it off with a clever accusation. The mask falls because they no longer have the energy, your supply, to keep it on their face. They become weak, and it cracks. What you see is what experts call narcissistic rage, or narcissistic collapse. It is the angry 3-year-old that lives beneath the adult facade. The escalation of provocation. First, they won't believe it. They will think you are plotting something. They will turn up the volume of the abuse. They will attack you in crueler ways, bring up your deepest traumas, and accuse you of the most absurd things. They are desperately trying to get any reaction. They are poking you with a stick, screaming, react, cry, scream, hate me, but don't ignore me. And when you remain silent, disengaged, their facade of calm and controlled melts. The uncontrolled rage. This is where you see the monster. The screams you hear are no longer calculated. The anger is no longer cold. It is a hot, childish, pathetic rage. They may break objects. They may threaten you. They will say things so poisonous that even you, who has heard it all, wouldn't believe it. This is the unmasking. You didn't have to say a word. You just stopped participating, and they exposed themselves. They are showing you, unfiltered, the dysfunctional emptiness that they truly are. The smear campaign, the public unmasking. If you leave them, no contact, the desperation becomes public. They desperately need to reestablish control of the narrative. They will run to the flying monkeys, to mutual friends, to family, but they don't do it with their usual calm and charm. They do it with desperation. They look unbalanced. The lies they tell about you become so grandiose, so absurd, that people with a minimum of discernment begin to find it odd. She cheated on me with 10 men. She's a witch who stole all my money. They expose themselves. People who once saw them as so charming now see them as a little intense, or frankly strange. They become a caricature of themselves. They are unmasking themselves to the world because you stopped being their exclusive audience. They are on an empty stage, screaming at the walls, and people outside are finally hearing how crazy they sound. You didn't have to prove they were abusive. They are giving a live demonstration for anyone who cares to watch, all because you, silently, left the room. You spent so much time believing that the power was in your words, that if you just found the right phrase, the right proof, the perfect logic, justice would be served. What you learn, the hard way, is that justice, in these cases, is not a verdict. It is a withdrawal. The unmasking of the narcissist is not a public event where you are applauded and they are booed. The unmasking is a quiet, internal moment of clarity. It is the moment you stop trying to make them understand your pain, and simply understand that their pain, the emptiness, the rage, the pathological envy, is the only thing that moves them. You don't need to say a word to unmask them. You just need to stop believing their words. You just need to stop giving their words the power to define your reality. When you disengage, you take the oxygen away from them. What you see writhing on the floor is not a formidable opponent. It is a pathologically dependent being, panicking because its life source has been cut off. The true unmasking is your indifference. It is your peace. It is you moving forward and building a life where their chaos no longer finds an echo. Your absence, your silence, your refusal to participate in the drama. This is the loudest, clearest, and most powerful statement you will ever make. You didn't have to pull the mask off. You just stopped holding it up for them, and it fell. Feel free in the comments below to share your story, your vent, or even a suggestion for the next video topic. Click on the suggested video on the screen and continue with me in another video. Remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.